on the service entry sheet application by Convergent. The application I have up on the screen right now, and I'm going to start by just highlighting a few key features for users. So the view we've got right now is from the perspective of a vendor visiting the portal and submitting services, submitting documents to reflect the services that they've provided. At the top of the user's screen, they've got a few key items to help give them a sense of where they're at. First off, the top left corner, it's helping to show any purchase orders that maybe are running short on available hours or things to bill against yet. It would draw attention to contact that they may need to reach out to the buying organization and either get some additional hours added or perhaps just let them know where they're at with the PO. In the middle here, we have a sense of how we're doing with regards to ones that I've submitted previously. So if I've submitted a service entry sheet, I want to know that it's making its way through the system to get approved. And here we see there's a few that were submitted just a few days ago, and then there's quite a few. This is a demo system, so we tend to get this way, that have been submitted quite a few days ago. And that would be reflective of ones I would want to follow up on. Say, is there any holdup? What can we do? Because until it's been approved, I'm not able to submit my invoice against it. And then finally, we have a review of items by status. So everything I've submitted, the ones that have been approved, the ones that are submitted, and the ones that I have a few either in draft. I'm going to start by focusing on the creation of a new service entry sheet against a purchase order that I've previously confirmed and approved here. Let's see here. So this is for some construction services against a PO line that didn't have a predefined account assignment. So we named it as such just to draw attention to that, but this is one with an unknown account assignment. So I'm going to pick that. And now this becomes my service entry sheet point of entry for the vendor. You'll see a lot of fields here that you might, if you're familiar with the ML81N transaction, you'll see ones that you are familiar here that you recognize. There's options with regards to which of these we show. Just ultimately, we're looking to make sure the vendors only need to interact with the fields that are specifically needed to get a service submitted. We just give this a simple description. I'll be doing some sort of utility line maintenance here. These fields, we can have them default as appropriate. So we often will get it so that they just default it to the period of the month that they're submitting it in. The posting date could be submitted or defaulted to today's date. There's lots of options we have with the applications in terms of tailoring them for your organization's requirements. Then we're going to add some items. In this case, I'm going to add some items off the contract. So this is the contract that's been negotiated with me as your vendor that I'm going to be submitting against. In this case, it's a reasonably simple contract that we have here. So perhaps we've got some backhoe work, laborer to run the backhoe, and maybe there's a foreman on the job site as well. So we pick those and just indicate the number of hours that were submitted against the rates that were previously agreed on. So we had 8 hours there on the ban, 4 hours on the backhoe, and 1 hour of supervision on that. That entered, I can do attachments. If I'm using this on my mobile device, I could take a picture of the work that was completed, or maybe it's a picture of a ticket that I have filled in. Regardless, it's just supporting evidence to the service that's been provided. If there were specific planned services on this purchase order, those could be entered here. This gets tuned to however the purchase order has been created. In this case, there is just a couple additional options there as planned services that I could pick from there. I could save this as a draft at this point. But before I can actually submit it, it's going to require me to fill in the account assignment category as well. So if you're working, if you provided your vendor with instruction based on the project that they should be recording this against, or perhaps it's based on location, there's various ways to approach this to make sure they're only taking action that makes sense to them. But let's say in this case, we've actually given them some project codes to work with here. And I have to update what we're going to put that against here. If I time something that's not valid here, it will give me a warning that that isn't going to work. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And with all those details captured, I can now submit that. Oh, did I mention I can do an attachment if I want? Yes, I did mention that. I can go ahead and submit this now. So this has now been created, and this is a point that we like to make sure we highlight as well. This isn't created in some intermediary location. This service entry sheet has actually now been created in your SAP system as the source of truth for everything that's happening with your vendors. So with that, I've got a service entry sheet created. That's as far as I'll go with this particular demo. I would typically go ahead and then approve that. So it would go through some sort of a workflow. So it could be approved. And then we could submit as the vendor, if that was part of your solution deployment, we could submit an invoice against those services. One final thing I will note here, this is a very simple one, but as your vendor, I can take a look at how we're doing with the approval. So if I had an actual workflow that was created for the approval of that service entry sheet, I would have a sense of where are we at with the approvals. And for some of our clients, we've included a button here that allows them to just nudge the approver just to let them know that we're waiting on it and that we need their approval. So just do a bit of a check in there. I think that's all for now. Thank you for your time and have a good day.